Welcome back. As the city of Venice grows, so does the need for city staff, but there isn't much room for them. Now the mayor is suggesting purchasing an old steakhouse and turning it into a second city hall building. ABC 7's Christopher Brantley is joining us live from Venice with more on this possible solution. Christopher.
Good evening, Haley, and here's the steakhouse in question. If purchased, it could become a second city hall building, but there are other options as well.
A walk through the offices at City Hall show a staff packed in like sardines. Plans and papers litter the floors.
No question about the fact that we're pretty constrained for space.
There's such a lack of space, the code enforcement staff work out of a converted closet. There's barely enough room for 2 desks. In an email, the mayor suggested purchasing this old steakhouse at US 41 and Miami Avenue that would provide a centrally located second City Hall building, or use the current temporary library, the Hamilton Building, as a second facility.
The biggest elements in the operating budget are personnel. The city lost 83 full-time positions over about a 4-year period.
That was right after the recession in 2008. A big question on everyone's mind: how did so many staff members fit in here before?
I'm not sure how they existed previously during the boom periods in the late 90s when the building industry was really booming.
That cut in staff led to serious delays in plans being approved and permits being issued. Around 20 of those lost positions are now back, but the question has become where to put them. In planning and zoning, building plans, somewhat ironically, cover the floors. There's no room for shelves.
We've engaged a contractor to do a space study of City Hall, and we're going to expand that to some other buildings.
As part of that space study, the contractors will be looking to determine if the current City Hall structure could withstand a second floor being built on it.
And that space study really is the first step in deciding what to do here. A city council member told us earlier today that this really is an important issue and is something the city needs to begin to work out. Live in Venice, Christopher Brantley, ABC 7, your Suncoast News.
Thank you, Christopher. Waters off the coast of Florida appear to be the picture of health, but images from below the surface tell a different story. A phenomenon known as coral bleaching is impacting reefs around the world and here on the Suncoast. It's caused by warming water temperatures. Florida's Department of Environmental Protection reports a 44% decline in coral in the Florida Keys from 1996 to 2005. Mote marine scientists are working to not only research coral, but also restore it. Researchers are growing and planting fragments of coral in the wild. The organism makes up less than 1% of the bottom of our oceans, and yet it plays a major role in underwater ecosystems.
Almost the appearance of a coral graveyard. There's broken pieces of coral. It's gray and white in color, and it just looks like a bunch of bones.
Tonight on ABC 7 News at 7, we take a look at the health of our local reefs and what's being done to save them. And now we're going to head over to Bob and get a check on our forecast.
Thanks, Haley. We're taking a look at the tropics right now. Not a lot going on in the Caribbean or the Gulf of Mexico, but we are watching this frontal boundary. I talked about it yesterday. Sometimes the unusual aspect of having a cold front this far south during this time of year can be a factor if it gets into the Gulf of Mexico. Sometimes on the tail end, a little spin up occurs. Nothing showing up quite yet. And we have 2 systems out there in the Pacific kind of dancing around one another right now. There's a tropical wave way out there in the Atlantic. We'll talk more about that coming up at 6 o'clock, but has no chance developing in the next couple of days. Maybe 4 or 5 days from now, there might be something popping up there. Some showers were approaching Northport, and they kind of halted right there at I-75. Now it's weakening, but there's still some rain. There's a chance you could get a little bit of rainfall there in Northport. It's happening right along I-75 right now and places to the south, but Northport, you're dry. Some clouds around, but that is about it. Temperatures remain rather nice here, 87 degrees. It's not into the mid-90s at least. If that were the case, feels like temperature would be up near 105 to 110. Instead, it's at 95 degrees, a little warmer in places like Arcadia at this point, and 102 in Punta Gorda. We'll have more in the weather forecast in just a few minutes. Haley?
Thank you, Bob. Senate Republicans are on a mission to fulfill their biggest promise to repeal and replace Obamacare. GOP leaders are now considering a so-called skinny repeal, though it remains unclear what that will entail. ABC's Janae Norman takes a look into whether this skinny repeal has a chance of passing.
Healthcare has Republicans back in the hot seat and under pressure from the president and vice president.
Obamacare has failed, and Obamacare must go. And let me be clear, this is the moment. Now is the time.
Senators are barreling towards a vote, but still don't know what exactly they'll be voting on. That's leaving Republicans struggling to fulfill their biggest promise, to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act.
We all know this is likely to be a very long night. It's part of a long process that has taken a lot of hard work from a lot of dedicated colleagues already.
Now on the table, what's being called a skinny repeal, dubbed a wolf in sheep's clothing by AARP. It would roll back parts of Obamacare, like the mandate that all Americans have insurance. That could leave 16 million more Americans uninsured over the next decade and cause premiums to spike by 20%. Republicans say it's just a jumping off point, but Democrats are already denouncing the plan.
Did you promise the American people that you would take health care away from tens of millions? I didn't hear that. That's what Skinny Bill does.
National medical and insurance groups are coming out in opposition of the skinny repeal. In a statement, Blue Cross Blue Shield said a system that allows people to purchase coverage only when they need it drives up the cost for everyone. Janae Norman, ABC News, Washington.
President Trump, the tweets that he made on the abrupt reversal of military policy changes regarding transgender service members is leading to immediate outrage. The organization representing Iraq and Afghanistan veterans calling the move backward, harmful, and contrary to American values. The members of Congress were not informed of the president's decision in advance. Speaker of the House Paul Ryan asked about the transgender ban during a press conference today. He says he is waiting to see what a review between the DOD and the White House entails.
The problem here, or the concern here in the House, was whether or not the military will be forced to pay for these surgical procedures. I share those concerns.
A study commissioned by the Pentagon last year found transgender people in the military have had, quote, little to no impact on unit cohesion, operational effectiveness, or readiness, while healthcare spending on active duty trans service members increased by about 0.1%. According to a memo obtained by ABC News, top military commanders say there will be no immediate change in policy, despite the commander-in-chief's tweets. The state of Florida keeps having to shell out big bucks for losing lawsuits. Since Governor Rick Scott took office, the state has paid at least $19 million to cover expenses and fees for opposing lawyers. That includes $12 million to attorneys who represented pediatricians. The state also agreed to a $2 million payment that will go toward lawyers who sued on behalf of disabled inmates. Florida has also paid more than $800,000 to the American Civil Liberties Union. Another company is interested in opening medical marijuana dispensaries across the state of Florida. Today, Knox Cannabis Dispensary opened its newest medical marijuana storefront in Tallahassee. The firm is one of 7 companies now selling medical marijuana in Florida. In total, there are about 20 pot shops open across the state, with more opening each month. At Knox's Tallahassee office, customers can purchase high THC marijuana in drop form or through a vaporizer, along with low THC non-euphoric cannabis.
It's about helping patients. It's really, this all gets down to patients in need in the state and patients who need medication, a natural form of medication that don't have all the side effects that modern pharmaceuticals have.
A bill passed during a special legislative session earlier this year more than doubled the number of marijuana operators that can be licensed in the state. Still to come on your Suncoast News, more problems for Takata. A deadly crash in Florida may have been caused by a faulty airbag. What we know about the investigation so far.
Is your old garage door stuck or broken? Would a new one give you a lift? Let Precision Door Overhead Garage Door Service of Sarasota come to the rescue with prompt and affordable repair service. Replacement doors come with an array of styles and colors, and they are rated to meet and exceed Florida standards. From estimates to installation, your satisfaction is our priority. If you're not 100% satisfied with any product, service, or installation, we will make it right, because Precision Door Service is a name you can trust.
As a singer-songwriter, it's all about creating high-performance art that moves people. Same is true in making gorgeous cars. Fiat designs it. You're the artist.
Choose your palette just about any color combo inside out. No small wonder, state-of-the-art style Fiat.
Now this moves me.
Oh, they're playing my song.
Let the art of Fiat move you at Fiat of Sarasota.
Attention blood thinner users. If your loved one took Xarelto or Pradaxa and suffered serious internal bleeding, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. The widely prescribed blood thinners Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to a number of dangerous side effects, including internal bleeding, gastrointestinal bleeding, kidney bleeding, stroke, brain hemorrhaging, and even death. If you or a loved one suffered any of these injuries after taking Xarelto or Pradaxa, call right now. You may be owed significant compensation from the manufacturer. Thousands of blood thinner users may have been exposed to serious risk by these dangerous medications. If you or a loved one took Xarelto or Pradaxa and suffered serious internal bleeding, call right now. Call Nightline Legal to speak with an experienced attorney for a free consultation. If we don't win, there is no fee. There are time deadlines to file a claim, so don't wait. Call right now.
Call 1-800-554-3987. Again, that's 1-800-554-3987.
You studied hard, went to college, and achieved your dream, but it turned into a financial nightmare. If you have federal student loans and you'd like to reduce your payments, get more time, or have your loans completely eliminated, then we have good news. With one call to Student Loan Relief Services, you can find support and guidance. We've already helped thousands of people, and we can help you too. If you have $10,000 or more in federal student loans, you can qualify for payment extensions, payment reductions, or you may qualify to have your federal student loan completely forgiven. Call Student Loan Relief Services now to find out about your options. Take control of your finances and get out from under this burden. One of our student loan experts has the answers to your questions and great solutions to ease your financial burden. We're here for you. Call Student Loan Relief Services now.
Call 800-759-0203, 800-759-0203.
An emerging field in healthcare is lactation consultancy. Practitioners work with new mothers who are having issues breastfeeding their babies. Kim Hutcherson shows us how this partnership works.
Would it be okay to bring the pacifier in?
A growing number of mothers are reaching out to breastfeeding consultants when they find they're having serious difficulties breastfeeding. Claire Eden explains when she's typically called in.
Babies maybe who aren't gaining weight well, or mothers who are having a lot of pain with breastfeeding.
Becoming a board-certified breastfeeding consultant requires several years of training and testing. The relatively new field is being integrated with a wider family of health specialists who provide services outside of medicine, nursing, or pharmacy. After their newborn began to drop weight quickly after birth, Jennifer Grant and her partner turned to Eden for help.
I actually didn't know anything about the challenges of breastfeeding or the functionality of having a breastfeeding consultant and the different options that were available.
The couple says working with a consultant has been a positive experience for themselves and their infant.
We've all felt supported and empowered, and happy baby, happy wife, happy life.
Yes.
For today's Health Minute, I'm Kim Hutcherson.
And now for our full forecast, we're going to head over to Bob.
Thanks, Haley. I told you the photos that were sent in to pics@mysuncoast.com. Here's another one. Art Conforti looking out over Sarasota Bay toward Longboat Key, getting at least half of that shot. A very brilliant rainbow there this morning as a result of really a land breeze, outflow boundaries from what was around late last night. And you can see the shower activity very thin from Orlando southward down into Sarasota County. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to bring much rainfall into Northport, but we had a little bit of rainfall earlier today, and also in the eastern sections of Manatee County, nearly 2 inches of rainfall, but it's just on a widespread area like we normally see. This is uncommon for this time of year, but we do usually see 1 or 2 weeks like this during the summer months. 87 degrees, the current temperature, dew point not a real big factor. Winds are out of the west at 7, the pressure 29.98 inches, and that is a little lower than it has been. 97 the record, weren't close today at 91. 90 was the average low, and 77 was the morning low. No rainfall to report. We're nearing 4 inches almost for the deficit for the year, so we could use a little bit more rain to come back into play. Here's the forecast showing that rain that's around dissipating. Moving on, some high-level clouds or debris clouds left over from the previous storm, still kind of hanging on up until 1 o'clock. And you'll notice showers, at least this model depicting some developing here in the Gulf of Mexico. I wouldn't so much say it's going to be right there near Anna Maria, but somewhere here along the Sun Coast there will be 1 or 2 lone showers as the sun rises tomorrow. And then the main focus will be inland, pushing off toward the East Coast. A little unusual. We've seen a couple of cold fronts now come down into the deep south. Late July, very unusual. And in fact, along that cold front, a low pressure system may develop off the Carolina coast. It could be similar to what we see in the winter months, a nor'easter developing as it tracks up toward the northeast United States. But for us, we're going to see that front kind of keep that high pressure over the top of us. We'll have a west wind that changes our pattern somewhat, with morning showers and storms along our coast in the morning and early afternoon, and the focus is later in the day into the central part of the state and along the east coast. We'll also keep an eye on that frontal boundary for the possibility of tropical development on the tail end of it in the Gulf. 72 in Portland now. It's 81 in Pittsburgh, cooler in Columbus, and 90 in Billings, Montana. 87 now, Salt Lake City, and in Denver it's 84 degrees. Hot in Dallas at 99 and 96 now into, I should say, 92 degrees in Birmingham, 80 in Macon, and 80 degrees in Jacksonville. Well, as far as the rest of the United States goes, you can see there's some rain falling now. It's not heavy at this time into West Virginia, some storms moving off there. But this is that system I told you about that's going to kind of gather some strength off the Carolina coast, and then a low pressure will develop and track off toward the northeast. Lots of sunshine over Texas, creating that very warm weather for those folks. Now, the boaters, winds out of the southwest to west at 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be running basically less than 2 feet with a light chop on the bays and inland waters. The water temperature steamy, 91 degrees. I know I talked to some folks from Minnesota and Wisconsin yesterday. They got in the water. They said it feels like bath water. It certainly did, and certainly does. 11 degrees on the, or I should say the UV index at 11, 89 on the temperature for beaches. It looks like this for tides. Low tide at 11:20. High tide will be at 5:04, and sunset will be at 8:22. Partly cloudy, 20% chance for showers overnight. So we could see some development, say after 2, 3 o'clock. 79 for a low tomorrow. Partly cloudy, warm and muggy, and a 30% chance for storms with a high near 91. The extended forecast does call for similar conditions on Saturday, and then look out for the storms. They come back pretty strong right on Sunday all the way through Thursday. Haley?
Thank you, Bob. Now the Suncoast Traffic Watch. No accidents to report and smooth sailing on I-75. No problems in the north or southbound lanes. Authorities are investigating a deadly crash in Florida that involved an exploding Takata airbag inflator. The crash happened last week. This was in Hollywood near Tampa. The unidentified victim was in a 2002 Honda Accord when the crash happened, and the airbag inflator ruptured. If the airbag caused the death, it would be the 19th worldwide and 13th in the U.S. blamed on these inflators. Takata inflators can explode with too much force and blow apart a metal canister, spewing shrapnel. The defective inflators have been part of the largest automotive recall in U.S. history. President Trump is touting a deal that he says will create thousands of jobs here in the U.S. Trump is announcing that the electronics giant Foxconn will build a $10 billion factory in Wisconsin. The company is based in Taiwan and is best known for assembling Apple iPhones in China. The factory is expected to initially create 3,000 jobs, which would make it the largest economic development project in Wisconsin's history. The campus would cover 1.6 miles, which is 3 times the size of the Pentagon. The factory is scheduled to open in 2020. Delta Airlines is suspending service to Venezuela indefinitely. That's according to a leaked document confirmed on Delta's Twitter account. The July 25th document notified Venezuelan officials that Delta's last flight into Caracas will be on September 16th. Travelers are now asking Delta about the change on Twitter. In response to one user, the company wrote, quote, Delta will notify customers booked for travel after September 16th to discuss options. Entertainment news is coming up next.
Fresh out of the box, the Alfa Romeo won us over. We went in skeptical and left in awe of this gorgeous machine. Rediscover your passion for driving at Sunset Alfa Romeo of Sarasota.
What to do when your heating or air conditioning needs service or, heaven forbid, replacement? Call Air Now today. We've been serving Sarasota and Manatee County since 1946. We offer $49.95 tune-ups, lease or finance options, and remember, service today or it's free.
Are you Goodwill?
Yes, because when I donate or shop at Goodwill,
I am creating a job.
I am Goodwill, yeah.
I heard about the Detoli Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Detoli Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was and some additional cancers that were not found during the biopsy. I would recommend the Detoli Cancer Center. As a group of human beings, they are unbelievably great.
Need more space in your place? The More Space Place can help with Murphy beds that disappear to reveal a home office, living room, or den. Custom closets with designated areas for your shoes, bags, wardrobe, and accessories. Custom-built entertainment centers, garage storage systems, and more. The More Space Place has 3 showrooms next to Sonny's on US 41 South in Sarasota, on Lakewood Ranch Boulevard just south of State Route 64 in Bradenton, and on Tamiami Trail next to Panera Bread in Port Charlotte. Put more space in your place at the More Space Place.
Download ABC7's all-new official Suncoast weather app onto all your devices so you can stay informed wherever you go. With our full-featured all-new weather app, you can get weather alerts, interactive radar maps, current conditions, 10-day forecasts, traffic maps, and weather video from ABC7, all at your fingertips. And it's free. ABC7's all-new official Suncoast weather app, sponsored by Mr. Sparky. Just search Suncoast WX in the App Store and download yours today.
It does things that seem impossible, feeling like it could change direction while airborne. Rediscover your passion for driving at Sunset Alfa Romeo of Sarasota.
Police in Los Angeles are investigating an accident involving Justin Bieber. Police say Bieber accidentally hit a photographer with his pickup truck in Beverly Hills last night. The 57-year-old photographer was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. Video you see here from the scene shows Bieber kneeling beside the injured man, asking him what he needs. Bieber had announced earlier this week he was canceling the last several weeks of his Purpose World Tour, quote, due to unforeseen circumstances. Now we know why Larry David's imitation of Bernie Sanders is so good. Apparently they're related. On an upcoming episode of the PBS show Finding Your Roots, David found out that he is actually genealogically tied to the senator from Vermont. But David couldn't exactly remember what the link is, saying Sanders is, quote, like a third cousin or something. David repeatedly imitated Sanders on Saturday Night Live during the presidential campaign. His show, Curb Your Enthusiasm, returns to air in October. Good news for True Detective fans. Season 3 of the HBO show is on the way. The network's programming president is confirming that Mahershala Ali will star in the show this year. The search is on for a director. True Detective struck a chord with many critics and viewers when it first debuted. However, the show slumped in its sophomore season, getting blasted by many critics. No other cast members have been named so far. Katy Perry is set to host the MTV Video Music Awards next month, but not only that, the pop star will also be performing. This will be her first time hosting the VMAs. Perry could also be taking home some awards. She's nominated in 5 categories. The VMAs, they will air August 27th from the Forum in Inglewood, California. You're hosting, you're performing, you're nominated. I mean, you're just basically taking over the whole show, so good for her. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Chef Judy. Every Wednesday morning, I'll be with the chefs at the Publix Aprons Cooking School, serving up the most wonderful dishes. Watch Aprons in the Kitchen every Wednesday on ABC7's Good Morning Suncoast.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere for the Sarasota Ford Promise. Our promise means a new car you'll love. If not, return it for one you do. At Sarasota Ford, we promise live market pricing. We monitor national pricing on our entire inventory, so you get the best deal. In fact, we guarantee it. Bring us any competitor's ad, and we'll beat it by at least $1,000. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.